Hi guys, welcome to our YouTube channel Yousafzai IT Zone. Today lesson is about testing methodologies. These methodologies are explained well in different blogs on our website moreaboutqa.com. For further information, please do visit our website. Today agenda will cover overview of these approaches, what are the methodologies for development as well as testing. We will talk about software development life cycle. We will explain waterfall model, what is software testing process, what are agile testing methodologies, what should be selection criteria. Regarding overview of the testing methodologies, systematic approaches and frameworks applied during the software testing process to ensure the quality. Methodology consists of different components which are processes, techniques, and documentation. Regarding processes, the process defines the sequence of the activities within a framework. There are different software testing techniques. So the testing methodology defines that which technique we need to include and which technique we need to exclude, and this decision is based on the nature of the project. Testing methodology describes it clearly that either we need a detailed documentation or we need simple documentation as we normally apply in the agile process. Regarding development methodologies, there are two which are normally used in the IT industry. The first one is Waterfall, the second is Agile. Waterfall is sequential in nature. We call it traditional software development. It is a rigid, linear model that consists of sequential phases. Each phase must be 100% completed to start with the next phase. Though it is very simple to work with, but it has some drawbacks. The software testing phase comes very late in this model. The second drawback is that as we are sharing the software after the complete development, that's why we receive feedback from the customer very late in this approach. Agile is iterative in nature. It allows software to be released in iteration. Each iteration has some features and fix bugs, and then we share that with the customer and we receive early feedback from them. But it also has some disadvantages. It needs detailed communication and collaboration, and it's sometimes time taking activity. The other is lack of comprehensive documentation. Agile focus on development rather than detailed documentation. So, in some cases, it is challenging to find detailed documentation against a feature. Like software development, there are methodologies that are used in software testing. The common methodologies are waterfall, agile, verification, and validation. Regarding waterfall, as said, it is sequential in nature. It means that all the activities are planned in different phases. For example, the planning is made first, then all the test cases against all the features are written, and after that, test cases are executed. In this approach, it is not possible to execute test cases of a particular component. Regarding Agile, it is iterative in nature. In each iteration, some features are developed, so testing is planned only against those features. That's why when the build or the iteration that has only those specific features are shared with the customer, we receive feedback early from them and we align our test cases or development against the expectation of the customer. Regarding verification and validation, in this approach, the testing and the development is performed parallel. Like software development lifecycle, we also have software testing process which consists of different phases. But before talking on those phases, we need to clear some basic terminology related to those phases. The first one is test phases. Any document or a flow chart or a picture from which we can extract some requirements is referred as test basis. Test condition. It is a constraint which a tester should consider while testing a program. Testware. The document that comes against any testing activity. For example, in test planning, test plan is actually a testware of that activity. Product backlog item, a work item in the product backlog that represent a feature, enhancement or task to be developed within Agile framework. Now, if we are clear on those terminology, so let's discuss these phases. The first one is test planning, followed by test monitoring and control, then test analysis, test design, test implementation and execution, and in the last, test completion. In the test planning, scope and objective is defined, that what we need to test, how we need to test, when we need to test, and where we need to test. Test monitoring and control is an ongoing activity which check the actual progress with the one that is written in the test plan. In some cases, if we are not aligned with the test progress that is written in the test plan, extra action are taken place so that we can align our progress with the plan. In test analysis, we review all the requirements and we identify those features from which we can write the test cases. In test design phase, we set up the environment, test data that might be needed for test cases to be executed. Test implementation and execution. We elaborate test condition into test cases. In the last phase, that is test completion, we provide support if there is any issue in the system or if any change is requested. We also provide support if extra features are added to the system. Different testing methodologies used in Agile, but these three are majorly used in IT sector. The first one is test-driven development. In this approach, different test cases are written against the features and development is started after those test cases. Once the development is done, then those test cases are executed. If some test cases are getting failed, then bugs and defects are reported. The second one is acceptance test driven development. In this approach, the acceptance criteria is written before starting the development. Once the development is done against those acceptance criteria, then it is given to the QA team for testing. The third is behavior driven development. In this approach, user stories are written. Development is done against those user stories. Before starting the development, user story must be clear to development team as well as to QA team. Once the development is done, then behavior driven testing is performed on those features. Now that you are clear that there are different approaches and methodologies both for software development as well as software testing, the question is that which one do you need for your project? There are several parameters which include project size and complexity, project requirement stability, customer involvement, client or stakeholder preference. Based on these parameters, you can take a decision either to go with agile approach or waterfall model. The test methodology is often linked with the development approach. However, expertise are needed if you select any software methodology for your project. Otherwise, you may face some challenges which might be difficult for you to overcome. For more details, please visit our website moreaboutqa.com. Thanks for watching.